Tengo 11 de pila.
Bueno, si no pasa algo y ahorita este link, compártelo a micruz@centro y te... pero tú estás en stream. ¿Ellos tienen esta presentación?
No sé.
Listo, estamos en vivo.
Hola, ¿cómo están? Qué gusto saludarlos a todos. Muchas gracias por estar el día de hoy aquí con nosotros. Nos encontramos en las instalaciones de Centro y me acompaña Luz Cruz, quien es directora de la especialidad de experiencias aquí en Centro, y una servidora, Majo Guerrero, cofundadora y chapter lead del Service Design Network Chapter Monterrey. El día de hoy, pues bueno, estamos a punto de arrancar con una conferencia acerca del diseño de futuro con Brandon Ward, que sin más preámbulo, me encantaría invitarlo a pasar al escenario, a tomar este foro increíble. Y quisiera agradecer a todas las personas que nos están acompañando en este momento aquí de manera presencial en Centro y también saludar a todas las personas que nos acompañan de manera virtual desde diferentes estados de la República, Monterrey, Ciudad de México, Guadalajara, Mérida. Reciban un saludo cálido de parte de nosotros desde la Ciudad de México. Brandon, can you hear us? All right, we're really excited to have you here. How are you?
Muy bien. Doing great.
We're thrilled to begin with your conference. So please take the stage, take it away for us, and we can hear you also.
Excellent.
We hear you perfectly.
All right. Well, hola a todos. Me alegra mucho estar con ustedes esta noche. Soy Brandon, lidero el diseño de experiencias y servicios en una agencia digital aquí en Dallas, Texas, llamada Precocity. Y ahora que he agotado mi español, tengo que volver al inglés, si me entienden, si les parece bien. So, that's it. That's no más. That's all there is. So I'm really excited to be here with you guys tonight to talk about this, to talk about designing the future and how we as experienced designers, service designers, designers in general have the ability to unsuck the future, right? How do we make what isn't great today great tomorrow? Before we jump into that, I want to make sure I give a shout out to the Service Design Network Global Conference happening right here in Dallas, just a stone's throw away from you guys, in October. So make sure, we're going to talk about it a little bit later. So make sure you grab this QR code. I think there's a discount to be had for your group that'll be shared a little bit later on. Come join us. I went to Helsinki last year. That's a lot further. This year, it's a lot closer. It's here in the Americas, and we would love to have you guys represented there. There's some other stuff we can do virtually as well. We can talk about that maybe a little bit later. Who am I? Why am I here? Why should anybody bother listening to me? I've been doing this stuff about 25 years. I've worked for clients such as Toyota, Match, Microsoft, Boeing, Nokia, NASDAQ. So a lot of big names and a lot of small names. I spent the beginning of my career doing startups and little tiny things, and the latter half of my career doing really big things. I have degrees in singing and acting, as well as a master's in media design. So that's what got me into UX, which got me into service design and all of this in general. I love to teach. I've been a teacher at a number of universities. I do continue to act. I train martial arts, Kung Fu specifically. I've been married 27 years this year. Woo! And I've got 4 kids and a cat. So here's where you can find me if you need. And away we go. So this talk and virtually everything in it is inspired by or directly cribbed from Pamela, Sarah, Kathy, and Mike. These are the true movers and shakers, the true leaders of design tomorrow. If you want to understand what's wrong with design today, and where designers can take the world tomorrow, you need to follow these 4 people. They are incredible authors, great speakers, and they just have a lot of good things to say. So think about a user story for a minute, right? As a blank, I want a blank so I can blank. That's how it works out in English. I'm not sure in Espanol, but that's how a user story reads, right? But think about this. I need to hang a shelf right here, let's say. So I need to hang a shelf. In order to do that, I have to put holes in the wall, and then in order to do that, I have to secure things in the holes in the wall. So I go down to the hardware store and I look for a 1/4-inch drill bit. But when you think about it, nobody says as a dad, I want a 1/4-inch drill bit so I can put a 1/4-inch hole in the wall, right? That's not a real user story. Nobody wants a 1/4-inch drill bit. They want to hang a shelf. Okay, there are a lot of ways to hang a shelf. It could stand on the floor. It can hang from the ceiling. There's just no end to the ways you can hang a shelf. So the question is, why does somebody want a 1/4-inch drill bit? They don't. You're accomplishing some other task. Design is getting to what that other task is. Think about mobile apps. Think about phones, okay? Nobody wants an app. As a human, I want an app so I can play with apps. No, we want to accomplish some sort of goal or task. So here's a screenshot of my phone, kind of grayed out. I have roughly 333 apps on my phone. And last I checked, I averaged over 30 hours a week on my phone. That's in addition to work, which is over 40 hours a week. And these are the top 5 things that I use. Facebook, complete waste of time, right? There's almost nothing redeemable from that usage. Brave is just my browser, and then texting family. Waze is getting around, and Audible is listening to audiobooks. But the number 1 used thing is the most useless thing. This is no bueno, right? This is muy mal. Right? It's sickening. It's bad. I don't know if you guys know who Mr. Yuck is. That's what we put on poisons to make kids know you don't touch this because it's yucky, right? This isn't right. Nobody said, as a husband or a father, an employee, or a friend, I want to engage with your website so I can get my dopamine hit and sit back and go doom scroll forever and ever. Right? Nobody wants that. That's not an effective driving scenario. Think about this. In 1985, the Cray 2 supercomputer, 5,500 pounds, 16 square feet, could do 2 billion flops. The iPhone 12, this is a 13, but the iPhone 12 back in 22 could do 11 trillion flops. It's less than 6 ounces, right? And what do we do with this superpower? This is what we do with it, right? No love lost for Doge. Love me some Doge. I love my cat, but this is what we use supercomputers for? Really? AI generated feet pics? Like, is this what we designed? Right? The future looks pretty stupid right now. But here's the thing. The present that we all design right now is what's stupid. The good news is everybody in this room, everybody listening online, we have the power to unsuck this stupid future. Okay? Why? Because design is all about solving problems. Okay? That is the bare bones definition of design. As a designer, what do? I solve problems. It's not art. We're not making pretty things. Okay? This is what we're doing. There's a problem, we solve it. Vanilla Ice said it best, right? If you got a problem, I'll solve it. Check out my hook while the DJ revolves it. Ice, ice, baby, right? So if we want a better future, how do we get there? All right, so first, we need to design our technology to work together with us, for us, the humans, to make us better humans. Let's unpack that a little bit. So technology working with us, ways, that's a pretty good example. Any of our maps, right? Any of our self-help, what's that one that make calm? You know, the Calm app, anything that helps us meditate, be better, think better, evolve better, work together, understand one another better. Translation apps, like how I translated that opening sentence. I love that. I love things that connect us. Here in Dallas, I meet a lot of native Mexican speakers who don't speak any English, and my Spanish is garbage. But together, with technology, we have really good conversations and we can become good friends. My Spanish gets a little better, their English gets a little better, and we all win. That's a wonderful example of technology working together for us making us better, right? There is so much garbage out there that designers have designed, developers have built, that don't do this. We also need to make technology make good decisions together with us, not for us, right? But then it needs to be for us. This is a linguistic anomaly. This is where English kind of fails. So we don't want it to make decisions for us. We need it to make decisions on our behalf, right? Not that make us better, right? That improve us, if you know what I mean. So don't make my decision for me, rather make a decision that is good for me. And that makes me better. We need technology designed so it gathers good data, and it needs to work together for us to make us better. What does gathering good data look like? I mean, gathering good data is making sure that the data in our algorithms, in our AI, in our data lake, whatever it is, they're not biased. We're not taking all the sins of our fathers, all of the bad things that we've done throughout history as a human race, and there are plenty, and then dumping them in there with all the good things that we know and love, right? Because then all it's going to do is it's going to go, oh, humans like to destroy things and break things and hurt one another, and so I'm going to make models that do the same. I'm not sure if you guys remember when the iPhone first launched, if you asked Siri how to commit suicide, it would give you directions to the nearest bridge. That is not technology working for humans to make humans better. That's actively working against us, right? And then we need to design technology that seeks to know us as individuals, as little tribes, city, counties, states, countries, nations, world, right? To make us better. There is so much wrong with how we all think today. I have wrong thinking, you've got wrong thinking, we all misunderstand, we all misjudge. And all we have to do is design something that can teach us how to be better at that. It's not an easy thing to do, but it is totally possible. And every single day it gets easier and easier. This Victor Papanek quote is super critical. There are professions more harmful than industrial design or design in general, but only a very few of them. Meaning there aren't a lot of jobs out there that have the potential to do more harm than design. Think about that designer. One day I was scrolling and I saw a piece of hair. I was on Instagram or something, and I saw a piece of hair on an ad, and I thought it was on my screen, so I went to brush it off. Well, of course, that tapped the ad, which took me to the thing. There wasn't a piece of hair on my phone. It was photoshopped into the ad to make it look like there was a piece of hair on my phone, to trick me to tapping on it. A designer did that, right? How is that helping us as a human race? Think about some of the negative social effects of technology. It isolates us, okay? Excessive use of tech can lead to reduced face-to-face interactions. This is a great example of how we're not doing that. We are using technology to bring us together. I'm in Dallas, you're in Mexico. There are people all over the world streaming from on YouTube. This is a good version, but often it can isolate us, which can lead to cyberbullying, stalking and predation, privacy concerns, and of course that digital divide, people who don't have the latest and greatest or the biggest bandwidth versus people who are still on, slower internet connections and whatnot. And these can have long-term hidden social effects that are really difficult to see unless we as designers try to preempt them by thinking critically about the problems we're solving. Here are some of the negative psychological effects of technology. Addiction, right? 383 apps, 30 hours a week, just doom scrolling on random cat memes, right? Anxiety and stress. Do you know anybody in your family or friends or your network who has decided to disengage because they're so anxious or so scared or so depressed because of everything they read in the news? You go outside and it's sunny, birds are chirping, people are walking their dogs, you go to work, you buy a hamburger, and they're freaking out like the world is ending. It's because of technology, right? It's because of the news cycle. It's because of how we're trying to scare one another into dopamine hits and engagement. It's designed to do that by a designer. It was not working for us. And it's teaching technology to do the same thing. Feed the algorithm with more of this stuff that gets engagement, not because it makes me a better person, but because it gets more eyeballs and more FaceTime and I stay in the app longer. But maybe it's hurting me. Technology doesn't care. What are some negative emotional effects of technology? Desensitization, reduced empathy, overstimulation, right? All these things, you can see it play out in your kids. If you're ever getting your iPad to a kid for like 8 hours and you just kind of went and did the thing and you come back, ask me how I know, right? 4 kids, right? You get busy. And you come back and they're in the exact same position, doing the exact same thing they were 8 hours ago. It's not good, right? And then they're like, oh, don't worry, Dad. I hear worse at school. Or I've seen worse online. Or just like, no, don't get desensitized to bad things, right? Don't reduce your empathy. Don't think less of people because you see things. It's so bad, guys. And these are just some. Oh, here are some negative physical effects of technology. It can lead to, iPad kid. I don't know if you guys have that in Mexico, but it's like where your kid's in weird positions and they're messing with their spine and everybody's got check neck, because they can't, and their spines are getting malformed because of the way they're using and their overuse of technology. It disrupts our sleep patterns. The different kinds of lights that come out of our devices, are not good for us. All of this is proved. We all know it, right? How about cognitive side effects? Shortened attention spans, impaired memory, information overload. None of this is good. Environmental effects, recycling, e-waste, all of that, energy consumption through the roof nowadays. And then here are just a few geopolitical effects that are negative. These are just a few. This isn't all of them. So what do we do about it? Mike Montero talked about designers are responsible for the work they put into the world. And that is what we're here to talk about. Okay? Everything we've just seen, a designer did. Whether or not they did it ignorantly or with ill intent, it doesn't matter anymore because it's out there. It has been done. And so now we have to ask ourselves, how can we do better? And what do we need to do, meaning what do I need to do in my sphere of influence that can change this? Don't panic, right? Any Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy fans over there? Wonderful book series. Don't panic. Here's how we do it. All the design we do should work toward the betterment of humans. Just keep that in mind, right? If you're thinking about this thing that you're building, this app, I was working on an app one day for a lender, right? And they, in the original version of the app, they had the interest rate was really, really tiny. And I said, hey guys, we need to make that big and bold. It has to be as big as the font as you'll allow the app to have, so that the user is really, really clear what they're getting into. We need to make the terms of that loan obvious, because that $100 loan, if they make the minimum payments, is going to cost them $1,000. It's not good. And I'm not going to design an app that hides that. I'm not going to put it in some other screen in 10-point font. I won't do it. Here is the design I'm presenting. And if you don't like it, then you're going to find another designer, because I will not design an app that's going to harm my fellow human. And so we do this by measuring real value. What matters? Does engagement matter? Did the length of someone's time in an app matter? Probably not in the long term. Can we teach our technology to understand our humanity? Like what it means to be good to one another, to treat each other with kindness, empathy, love, and respect, right? And can we design with integrity? So there was a bug in a piece of software built by Fujitsu for the Postal Service in England. And from 99 to 2015, so for 16 years, due to bugs and glitches in the Horizon IT system designed by Fujitsu, Britain falsely accused around 2,700 postmasters of theft and fraud, which led to their dismissal, and in 700 cases, arrest and imprisonment. It ruined countless lives, and it drove some to suicide. These erroneous convictions have been described as one of the greatest miscarriages of justice in British history. Now, Fujitsu recognized the bug, fixed the bug, owned the bug, and they are working with Britain to redress and fund for the postmasters who were wronged and trying to fix that. So that's good, but nobody meant to do that. But through design and through technology and the fact that we overtrust on this stuff, it leads to really, really bad things. So measure real things, okay? We need to teach tech to understand us. Make sure that it knows that we are conscious, living, healthy, happy, self-aware beings. It needs to encourage that, not discourage it. Use the languages we use, the symbolic communications, thinking, creativity, and even morals and ethics to reason. It can't be an algorithm where they say, if this, don't do that, right? If they use these words, don't do. No, it has to be contextually aware, just like we are. And we have to design with integrity. What does integrity mean? The best story I've ever heard was by Carl G. Mazer. He said, place me behind prison walls, walls of stone ever so high, ever so thick, reaching ever so far into the ground. There is a possibility that in some way or another, I may escape, but stand me on the floor and draw a chalk line around me and have me give my word of honor never to cross it. Can I get out of that circle? No, never. I die first, right? Can we get a little bit of that integrity energy into our designs? Can you decide, I will never ... I will never design a website that exploits ... I will never design an app that tricks ... I will never knowingly build a dark pattern. I will never, and if I find out that I have, I'll fix it. So in essence, right, technology that we design needs to work together for us, make good decisions for us that help us become better, right? Gather good data for us and seek to know us, know who we are as a people in a race. As designers then, right, it behooves us to measure real things, things that matter. Engagement doesn't matter, right? Now, a company has to make a profit. Otherwise, there's no point in building the app, right? But there are apps that force their users to disengage, and they do great, right? Because they're designed well, and we get value out of them. They make us better. Teach tech to understand us. Designers, there's nobody better to do this. We are the empathizers. We're the people who love to climb inside other people's minds and understand how they think and how they work and what they're feeling. It's built into us. It's why we design. Man, I bet I could solve that so nobody else has to suffer through that. And then we design with integrity. So this more human future, right, evolves from automation to a human AI coupling, right? Where we're working together for humanity. Instead of just single source data or this, just you grab everything and dump it in the data lake, we multi-source our data. We curate our data. We ensure only the best things get fed into the system. Instead of menu-driven pickers, we have conversational UIs, things that try to understand the context, understand who we are, what we're doing, what we're thinking, how we're feeling. So it understands the difference between a joke and something serious. It understands that I'm trying to do something, right? Rather than just blatantly staring at us giving ones and zeros. And instead of it being clever and witty and silly, what if it were technology were more vulnerable? What if our apps and the things we design, the websites we design, you know, ask for a little bit of grace and allowed people to meander a little bit more like a video game rather than a guided scripted thing where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Instead of persuading us to do things, support us and to engage with our fellow humans in meaningful and healthy ways. And of course, instead of us taking all of our stuff from meat space and putting it into the digital space, do the opposite, right? I don't want AI to paint my pictures. I want it to bag my groceries, right? I want AI to make my movies. I want it to dig ditches, right? Stuff that I don't like to do. And I still have to do. I'm a homeowner. I have to do crap here all the time, and I don't like it. I want robots to do that so I can learn to play guitar and write a sonnet and sing a song. I don't want AI to do that stuff. Arthur William Edgar O'Shaughnessy's ode says, "We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams, wandering by lone sea breakers and sitting by desolate streams, world losers and world forsakers, on whom the pale moon gleams. Yet we are the movers and shakers of the world forever, it seems. With wonderful deathless ditties, we build up the world's great cities, and out of a fabulous story, we fashion an empire's glory. One man with a dream at pleasure shall go forth and conquer a crown, and 3 with a new song's measure can trample an empire down. We in the ages lying in the buried past of the earth built Nineveh with our sighing, and Babel itself with our mirth, and o'erthrew them with prophesying to the old of the new world's worth. For each age is a dream that is dying, or one that is coming to birth." Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brandon. It was so amazing and so inspiring. And we want to open the space to have some questions from the audience. Is that okay for you?
Absolutely.
Perfect. We can do it in Spanglish. So if someone wants to make a question in Spanish, it's okay. I can translate. If you want to make it in English, it's perfect. So I don't know. May somebody have questions for Brandon? Don't be shy. Oh, there.
Okay, we have one.
English or Spanglish?
I think this is fine. Hey, Brandon, thank you so much for the talk. Very inspiring. I guess it's kind of my duty to do the hard question that I think happens a lot is we as designers, we provide services to our business. And we usually have to deal with businesses that they might not have the same vision that we as designers have into improving the world for us. So what's your advice for dealing with clients that might not be as ethical or as concerned about these objectives as we might be?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. So, right, they're the easy. First, I'll do the easy answers, right, to the hard question. Don't work for them, right? It sounds easy, right? Don't take that job. Don't work at that company until you have to pay your bills and buy food for your kids. And if I don't take that job, I may not eat tomorrow, right? The easy answer is when you're in a position, if you can reject that kind of work, just do it, right? So not everybody's in that position, and that's really what you're asking, right? So we had on that same app that I was telling you about, we had a developer who just flat out said, I don't believe in this app and I would like to be placed on another project. And the executives met, there was another project, we did some wheeling and dealing, and that developer was moved to a different project. And another dev who didn't care came on the project, right? And I respected him a lot for that. I kept working on it because I was the designer. I was going to make it a better product, right? I was going to fix those issues. And that's what I did. And as designers, we speak truth to power, right? So that's the first step. That's the first answer is you say the hard thing. You tell the CEO, like I did, I will not design this in such a way to mask the percentage, the interest rate, or the overall total cost. I will magnify it so the user knows what they're getting into. And I guarantee you, you will have more loyal customers who want to do more loans with you because you're super clear and upfront with exactly what you're doing. He agreed with me, and we went on. What would have happened if he hadn't? That would have been a different conversation. My company refuses to do work for some clients outright. Pornography or anything in that kind of space, or anything that we perceive to be harmful or unethical, we just won't take it as a company. So you can find other organizations and groups of people who are like-minded with you. So as a company, you have way more power than just you, a lone contractor. And if you're inside of a big organization and lots of shenanigans are going on and everybody's doing stuff, you can be that voice of reason. They might not all listen to you, and they may still ship unethical, scary junk. But if you're in there and it's the only place you can be, constantly speaking truth to power will only bless you and those around you. You can serve an example to your coworkers. And if you do it in a kind and meaningful way, like, hey, I don't think that's right, we should do this. The powers that crush that idea, they do the other thing. You did your part. You were a voice. And someday you will have a little bit more power, a little bit more authority. And when you raise your hand and you say, we're not going to do that, everybody's going to have to listen to you. When you're the intern, you still should speak up. But they may not listen. So I just think it's a road of progress, and you try to surround yourself with those good people working on those good things in those ethical ways, and you speak truth to power whenever you can in the most kind, loving, empathetic way, not a judgmental, not a condescension, not cruelly, right? Because then they'll just fire you outright. But you have to give them a reason to. And that's the last point, and then I'll shut up about it, is remember when I said you will have better revenue, better retention, better loyalty if you make it clear, right? I gave the CEO things he wanted, right? Because that's what he doesn't want, a quarter-inch drill bit. He wants people to come get loans through his app. And I said, you'll get more loans through the app if you do it this way. That's all he cares about, right? So hopefully he cares about ethics too, but I told him he would do better to get, and I have data to back that up. So that's the long answer to your question. There's the easy side, and then, just work at it.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Brandon. That was an awesome answer.
Thank you, Brandon. I have this this question that I've been thinking about. What is the most impactful product, let's say like app or tech device, that is applying this way of design focus on the betterment of humans?
I don't know if I can tell you what the best thing out there that's helping humans is. Like I mentioned Calm, right? Anything, that's a great app that makes it's pretty cool. But let me tell you the best one I ever got to work on. And it was for the American Heart Association. And it's called FAST, F-A-S-T. And it's helping people recognize and act when they see signs of stroke. So when COVID hit, they used to go, before COVID, the American Stroke Association and the American Heart Association would go all these different places, and they had these booths with all these cool contraptions that help you see what you would look like if you were having a stroke. hear what you would sound like, feel arm weakness. You could do all these things in physical space. COVID hit and they couldn't do them anymore. And they came to us and they said, Precocity, how can we help people digitally recognize these things? So we worked with stroke survivors and doctors and the American Stroke Association to come up with digital ways to help people understand the signs of stroke. The trick was, how do we make it fun and engaging and shareable? That was the challenge, right? Like, how do you make stroke, like having a stroke fun? It's not fun, but we worked at it. And we came up with this little character. His name is Nog, and he's a little brain. And we put him through different situations. So in one essence, we created a series of photographs of people who did and didn't have signs of stroke. That's the F, face. And then Nog had to identify which is which. And then A, arm weakness. So we had Nog walking through a park trying to lift 2 bags of groceries. One arm works great, but the other arm not so much. And you have to like spam the space bar or your mouse to try to get him to lift it up. Little mini games. Arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. You would speak whatever you want into the microphone of your computer, and then it would speak it back to you as if you were having a stroke. And then T means it's time to call 911. And I learned a ton. We got to write original music. I got to do special sound effects and voiceover. We designed a custom character and did all these cool animations. And it's this fun, shareable kind of game-like thing that makes it not so hard to talk to people about strokes. And then the year after that, we got to release it in Spanish, which is ahora. I don't remember all the words in Spanish, but the full, it's 6 now. So instead of FAST, it's ahora, and it's you add I difficulty, and what's the other one? I need to do it again because I've forgotten the other one. But like for the I difficulty, we put Nog at a football game, at a soccer game, and he was watching a football match, and all of a sudden part of it goes black and he can't see it, right? And so all he did, again, it was super, super fun, and it's like making video games, and anybody can use it on any device on their phone. We did user research with Hispanic. They're called like non-patriated Hispanic speakers in America. They only speak Spanish. They don't speak any English. And so I hired Spanish-speaking user researchers, and they helped us run the studies and demo the stuff for them, make sure it was the right language, the right version of the right word, because Spanish has so many different versions of different words, like stroke alone. Different regions of the Spanish-speaking world use different words for stroke. So we tried to accommodate most of that. And so I think that's like the best thing, because it was literally everybody just coming together saying, how do we make people's lives better? How do we make it so the second somebody sees a stroke, they go, I remember seeing that. I'm gonna call 911. And you maybe just saved a life, right? And so I think that's the most impactful thing I've ever been able to work on. We don't always get to work on that. Sometimes it's an oil and gas accounting application, right? So, it is what it is. But I think if you look, there are people out there every day designing apps for the phone, for the website, for AI, and for other things with the sole intent to save lives and to improve hearts and minds. And we just have to look for them, because they don't tend to make the $1 billion IPO. They don't tend to make the news because they're not breaking laws. They're just making people better every day. So I think you have to really look for them. And that's why it's hard for me to think of one, like kind of overall one. But the first one that I thought of was Calm. If you haven't heard of it, you should check it out.
Thank you, Brandon. I don't know if anybody else in the audience has another question. Okay.
I'll try to be shorter with my answers. Sorry.
Hola, Brandon. I have a question about, you mentioned overtrust in, I guess it was users. Perhaps if you could expand a bit on maybe how designers overtrust certain ideas or concepts. That could be interesting.
Over trust. Let me see if I understand the question. Really,
Well, I was sorry.
Go ahead.
I was intrigued by how over trusting an app or something could lead to defaults, errors, or just vices in certain things. So maybe designers have over trust in certain strategies.
Yes, absolutely. So an example is the Apple iPhone, right? You've heard of people when they first released maps, people that were driving off of bridges, driving into lakes because they looked at their map and that's what the map said to do. And so they just drove into a lake. Like, what is your problem? Like, why would you do that? We put way too much trust in technology. We put way too much trust in ourselves, right? In the way we do things. We think we're great at covering lots of things. We're not. Technology is actually really, really great about looking at all the little bitty details. We're generally better at big picture stuff. But we then overtrust the technology to find all the little itty bitty details, and we can get into trouble with that. There's a wonderful story of a developer at Boeing who was testing the fuel system regulation. And so he hard-coded a value to true because he just needed the tank to always be full. It was a virtual tank. It was fake. So in his software, he hard-coded the tank is full of fuel to true in his software. And so he could do all his testing much more quickly. It was a lot easier that way. And then he committed all his code and went home. Fast forward a few months, there is a $10 million satellite sitting atop, a $100 million rocket that's in the middle of the ocean. All systems go. They hit launch. It goes up about 100 feet and then crashes into the ocean, ruining all of it. Why? Because that developer's hard-coded Boolean to true was still in there. Nobody bothered to check the actual fuel tank of this $100 million rocket. They just looked at the gauge and computer said it's true. Computer said it's full. Must be. Like, we over rely on stuff. We over rely on the apps. We over rely on it for personal interaction. We over rely on technology to give us the right answers. Like, man, a couple of years ago, nobody believed anything ChatGPT said. Now, I swear most of what I read is written by an AI, and I can, and you can just kind of tell most of the time, and then you'll see things that you're like, there is no way that's accurate, and you'll go research it, and no, it's not. Lo and behold, but everybody's taking it at face value, and I think that's one of the biggest things we have to be concerned about. You know what scares me about AI video? It's not, and deepfakes, it's not that somebody's going to take my face. Now somebody's going to do it, but it's not that somebody's going to take my face and put it in some horrific experience, like, and make it look like I'm doing something bad, something I would never do. I don't want people to do that, but that's not my biggest fear. My biggest fear is it will become so ubiquitous and so easy to do something like that, that when somebody actually does something that is actually bad, and they get caught on video, they'll just go, deepfake. Prove it. Like 2 years ago, if there was video of a guy doing something bad, he's done. He's cooked. But now, just say it's fake. Now the onus is on us to try to resolve this. You can fake anybody's face, anybody's voice. You can do a lot of really nasty things with tech. So we put way, way, way too much trust in that. We also put too much trust in the news and in the media and in our algorithms. I go out of my way to make sure that I'm friends with Muslims and Buddhists and Hispanic and Japanese and Chinese and European. And I want every point of view, every language, every demographic represented in my Twitter feed or my threads or my Instagram or my Facebook, whatever it is. I want everybody in there, the good, the bad, the ugly, because when we only listen to people that sound just like us, we will never grow. we will never learn, and we'll think everybody else in the world looks and sounds just like us. And they don't. In fact, most people in the world don't look at all or sound at all like us, right? They're different. And so we have to ensure that as a personal connoisseur, right, a consumer, that we curate the messages we hear so that we're understanding everybody and we're understanding what's actually underpinning the nonsense that we hear. The headline is one thing, the content is something else. Behind that is something. We know that as designers. When the user said, oh no, that was easy, 7 out of 7, but they failed the task, we know that something's going on. Users lie all the time. We know this. So we just have to curate our own personal space and then create systems that do it too. That when people seek to isolate themselves and only hear their little echo chamber of whatever view that their brain is predisposed to be biased towards, we need to crack that shell, right? We need to create systems that allow them to think a little differently, empathize with the other guy, and try to understand what she's thinking, how he's feeling, what they're all about. Because that's the way we become better people. If we isolate ourselves in little pods and little tribes, and I believe this, and they believe this, and they believe this, and we use technology to do that, because it will, and it is right now. Every algorithm, that's what it's primed to do, is to separate us into little tribes and groups, because it thinks that the more we hear what we want to hear, the more we'll engage with the app. We have to fix that.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brandon. We're almost at the end of this amazing event, and our time with you is running out. So I would like to play a very quick Q&A ping pong with you. It's just a 1-minute ping pong. So please answer whatever comes to your mind at first. So tell us, why shouldn't anyone miss this year's Service Design Global Conference?
Oh, the speakers. We have an incredible lineup of amazing speakers, and you're going to walk away with tangible, real things that you can go back to your jobs and implement.
Brandon, are you here?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I give you a short answer. You said we had a minute. I went short.
Now I was surprised. Thank you. Which zone should people stay in Dallas to have fun and an interesting trip? What would you recommend?
Where?
Yeah, where to stay in Dallas?
Oh, yeah. There's a hotel right next to the venue called the Texican, actually, that is awesome. It's a little bit expensive. That's where I'm going to stay. And I'm going to try to bring my family there. Their rooms are getting booked. And unfortunately, we don't have any discounts at any hotels. But there are some really cool places like the Texican. And then there are some nice places nearby. It makes it kind of walkable to the venue and whatnot. Now, if you're okay with driving, and then there are some really neat places you can stay. You've got your bed and breakfasts, and you've got Airbnbs. And if you've got all the money in the world, I mean, we have some of the best hotels in the world here, like the Omni or whatnot, and you can go whole hog on some of that experience. But I recommend staying close to the venue, getting one of the neat little hotels, and experiencing kind of the life around that area.
Thank you, Brandon. And at last, top 3 places to visit in Dallas to not miss.
The Dallas Museum of Art, the DMA. Love that. There's the Perot Museum as well. It's a natural history museum and science. I just love taking my family there. And any of our local barbecue places. Dallas is known for 2 things: shopping and food. Okay. So the barbecue you're going to get here, or Austin or Houston, right? We're all kind of competing all the time, but it is the best in the world. And we have, like, there's not just one. There are plenty of places. Just don't go to Dickey's. That place is nasty. But any of the local places, you know, Lockhart, 1050, Hutchins, Rudy's. They're amazing, amazing barbecue that will just make you wonder why you've ever eaten anything else in your life. And then, of course, go to North Park Mall and shop for Gucci and Prada and Rolex and all the fancy stuff. But they have a Lego store. I love the Lego store there. So.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Brandon, for this amazing talk that you gave us and these great answers and such interesting answers that you provide us as well.
Thank you for the opportunity.
We really appreciate
Amazing
having you
questions.
here.
Thank
Sorry?
you. I just said thank you so much. They're great questions, and I love this opportunity, so thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. We'll see each other in Dallas. We can't wait to meet you at the Service Design Global Conference.
All right, see you guys.
Thank you. Bueno, no se vayan, que continuamos todavía con una breve charla con respecto a qué es la Service Design Network y pues bueno, platicarles un poquito también sobre la Service Design Global Conference. No sin antes agradecer a Centro, que abrió sus puertas para que pudiéramos hacer posible este espacio. Muchas gracias al equipo de comunicación, de TI y también al equipo de directores que nos apoyó en hacer este evento posible esta tarde aquí con todos ustedes. Esperamos que lo estén disfrutando. Deben saber que hace 5 años, cuando comenzábamos el Chapter Monterrey, realmente soñábamos poder colaborar con Centro, entonces realmente me llena de orgullo poder estar haciendo este evento aquí con ustedes presentes el día de hoy, ya que, pues bueno, estos espacios de conexión y reflexión con organizaciones y universidades son cada vez más importantes. Me gustaría platicarles muy rápidamente sobre la Service Design Network, específicamente del Chapter Monterrey. La Service Design Network es una organización líder a nivel mundial en la promoción de investigación, desarrollo y diseño de servicios. A través de esta comunidad de profesionistas, académicos y organizaciones, la Service Design Network básicamente lo que hace es encargarse de impulsar la innovación de los servicios públicos y los servicios privados mediante publicaciones académicas y profesionales, que estas las pueden encontrar en línea o también de manera impresas, como la revista Touchpoint, que quizás la hayan visto antes o la conozcan. También realiza eventos nacionales y globales como el Service Design Day o la Service Design Week, en el caso de la ciudad de Monterrey, Mérida y Guadalajara, que este año pues bueno nos unimos y realizamos toda una semana completa de eventos, charlas y talleres en donde se sumaron muchísimas personas alrededor de toda la República. Y además pues bueno nos encargamos de proponer o provocar estas alianzas con universidades y centros de innovación para hacer posible estos espacios que pues bueno favorecen muchísimo a la práctica del diseño de servicios. La SDN tiene chapters alrededor de todo el mundo. Son más o menos 45 países los que se encuentran activamente siendo voluntariados por otras personas como yo, diseñadores de servicio, de producto, de experiencia, que se encargan de pues llevar a cabo esta serie de iniciativas que van desde charlas, conferencias y talleres. Y pues bueno, en el caso de México, actualmente somos 3 los chapters que estamos activos. Nosotros en Monterrey, el chapter Guadalajara y el más nuevo chapter Mérida. A nosotros nos encanta porque, como pueden ver, es como un triángulo, el famoso triángulo dorado que le llamamos. Y pues bueno, esto es parte del crecimiento que hemos podido tener, no solamente como chapters y voluntarios, sino también al hacer este tipo de eventos, pues es importante que sepan que pues esta práctica y esta comunidad sigue creciendo y que activamente estamos participando también con universidades como en Centro, así como en los diplomados y en las certificaciones que ellos realizan con respecto a la certificación en diseño de servicios. Aquí en Centro, de hecho, tienen un diplomado que se realiza, me parece, de manera anual, ¿no? Y pues bueno, activamente también estamos colaborando con ellos para hacer este diplomado. Me gustaría platicarles sobre el Chapter Monterrey, ya que pues bueno, cuando cofundamos en 2019, pues realmente nuestro propósito venía arraigado de el ver la falta que hacía de tener estos espacios y estas conversaciones activas. Ese básicamente fue lo que se volvió nuestro principal propósito y motor para buscar realizar las diferentes iniciativas que nos acercaran como diseñadores en esta práctica. Desde el 2019 hemos realizado alrededor de 25 eventos, La mayoría de ellos han tenido que ser digitales porque, pues bueno, empezamos inicialmente en la temporada de pandemia, pero gracias a ellos se han podido sumar personas de otras partes de Latinoamérica y pues bueno, eso ha resultado favorecedor para nosotros. Nuestro equipo también ha ido evolucionando, de hecho actualmente vamos ya en la tercera generación del Chapter Monterrey, actualmente con la participación de Verónica Vela, Priscila Luna, Gabriela Salinas, Mimi Guarnero y una servidora, Majo Guerrero. Básicamente lo que ha evolucionado o lo que estamos buscando actualmente es continuar colaborando con expertos y líderes en México y Latam que puedan compartir su experiencia y conocimiento en diseño de servicios en este tipo de foros y este tipo de espacios. También algo que nos resulta muy importante como parte de este equipo, de esta organización, es crear contenido en español con información que sea atractiva, novedosa y de calidad, ya que pues bueno, a pesar de que llevamos haciendo esto ya más o menos 10 años, como hablo de la práctica del diseño de servicios, pues continúa siendo una práctica relativamente nueva dentro del país, por lo que cada vez es más relevante estar generando contenido que sea atractivo y novedoso para todas las personas que se van acercando a nuestra comunidad. Además, pues bueno, queremos promover espacios seguros de aprendizaje que puedan crear valor en comunidad, esto a través de cursos, diplomados, talleres y los eventos que nosotros hacemos como tal es este que está aquí, que estamos todos. Y por último, pues ojalá generar un impacto positivo en la vida de las personas y la sociedad. Muy rápidamente les quiero platicar sobre la Global Conference en Dallas. Denme un momentito. Como bien, pues bueno, ustedes ya lo escucharon por parte de Brandon. Este es un evento que se va a llevar a cabo por primera vez en la ciudad de Dallas. En el pasado, más o menos desde el 2014, se ha venido realizando esta conferencia de talla global en diferentes ciudades del mundo. Entonces, es muy interesante y muy bueno y también estamos súper emocionados de que por primera vez va a estar como tan cerca de México. Básicamente esta Service Design Global Conference es el evento más importante de diseño de servicios en todo el mundo. ¿Por qué? Porque como lo decía Brandon, pues reúne a profesionales, académicos, estudiantes y líderes de industria de todo el mundo para compartir las mejores prácticas, casos de estudio, herramientas y tendencias del diseño centrado en el humano. También, sobre todo, la parte del networking y de poder como estar en un espacio que es ideal para aprender, conectar y transformar, es una de las características más valiosas de esta conferencia. Entonces, ¿de qué se trata? Básicamente son 3 días, la conferencia o el evento se conforma de 3 días, del 15 al 17 de octubre. El primer día regularmente se lleva a cabo una serie de talleres que propone la SDN y después el 16 y el 17, el día 2 y el día 3, básicamente va de charlas y conferencias que, pues bueno, en menor o mayor grado, algunas son charlas como regulares, otras son keynotes. Pues bueno, hay ponencias súper interesantes de temas que son modernos y de la actualidad. También, pues bueno, se proponen diferentes iniciativas como de speed dating o speed networking para poder conectar con toda la gente que va de manera presencial al evento, pero también si ustedes, por ejemplo, no pudieran ir de manera presencial, hay un ticket que es para asistir de manera virtual y también se vive un poco la misma experiencia en sentido de que la SDN pues también propone estos espacios virtuales para conectar y conocer a gente en todas partes del mundo, a otros diseñadores que no necesariamente son service designers, pueden ser diseñadores de producto, diseñadores de experiencia o diseñadores de cualquier otra disciplina. Este año pues está súper padre porque los speakers, la primera ronda que se reveló de speakers es gente súper preparada del nivel de dirección de diferentes empresas como FedEx, la NASA, Miró, The New York Times y pues bueno, hay una serie de líderes que forman parte de esta terna de speakers que ya están disponibles por si quieren consultarlo también en la página web de esta conferencia. Entonces, ¿por qué asistir si todavía no los he convencido? Pues bueno, vengan porque el Service Design, pues bueno, como lo saben y por algo estamos aquí el día de hoy todos juntos, pues es una disciplina en auge que tiene que está viviendo uno de sus momentums más importantes, diría yo, en la trayectoria profesional que tengo. Creo que si bien en 2019, como les decía, empezamos a generar o a buscar generar estos espacios para poder provocar una conversación o poder generar una comunidad, hoy por hoy el reto es diferente. Hoy por hoy el reto es seguir poniendo a México en el mapa. Hoy por hoy el reto es seguir abriendo esta disciplina o acercando esta disciplina a universidades y a otras comunidades para hacerla cada vez más fuerte, más visible y pues bueno, en donde también nos pueda favorecer a todos estar en esta comunión con diferentes expertos y líderes de todo el mundo. Tenemos algunos descuentos especiales para nuestra comunidad. Nos han habilitado un 10% de descuento en el caso de que ustedes decidan comprar su boleto para ir de manera presencial. No se preocupen, estos códigos se los podemos pasar. Es México SDGC para el descuento individual. Y la ventaja de que hoy estamos aquí un grupo de personas es que si nos juntamos 10 podemos tener un descuento grupal que sería del 20% y pues bueno, para esto tendríamos que hacer un grupo y dar seguimiento en caso de que hubiera mucha deseabilidad. Y pues bueno, no se lo pierdan en medida de lo posible a cómo puedan hacerlo. Si gustan asistir de manera presencial, acérquense conmigo. O si gustan asistir de manera virtual, pues bueno, nos vemos por ahí, que las chicas del Chapter Monterrey vamos a ir y vamos a estar allá todas juntas. Entonces, si alguien más quiere hacer grupo con nosotros, bienvenidos a acompañarnos. Bueno, muchas gracias.
No sé si tienen alguna pregunta con respecto a lo que Majo compartió. Gracias. ¿No? ¿Todo bien? Igual nos pueden buscar después para compartirles más sobre Services and Network y la conferencia. Y bueno, les cuento un poquito, esta plática nos interesaba mucho traerla a centro porque justo, como decía María José, diseño de servicios se está volviendo una herramienta transversal y justo tenemos una especialidad que se llama diseño de experiencias. Soy Luz, soy la directora, y diseño de servicios es justo el eje que digamos, rodea cómo queremos diseñar las experiencias. Y también tenemos una maestría donde este tipo de metodologías están conectadas, que es la maestría de métodos de diseño, que también, si quieren más información al respecto, ahí está Dani y les puede mandar mensajito o pueden agendar una llamada conmigo y podemos platicar al respecto. Pero bueno, nos interesaba mucho tener este espacio para compartir. No sé si alguien tiene alguna pregunta. ¿No? ¿Todo bien? Perfecto. Bueno, vamos a tener, mira, ahí está. En la slide color azul hay un código QR que lo pueden escanear y pueden tener más información. ¿Una pregunta? Bueno, yo creo.
Hola. Genial. Mi pregunta es si el cupo es por los 2 días de conferencias, porque vi que cada taller cuesta por separado. Entonces, el grupo, bueno, el descuento sería por los 2 días de boleto o por un día o cómo.
Sí, el descuento para el descuento individual es para ambos días de la conferencia. O sea, digamos, el primer día de talleres tú decidirías si algún taller te llama la atención, te inscribes por separado porque tiene un costo adicional y ese sería el día 15 de octubre, 16 y 17 de octubre, que son la conferencia, aplica el descuento para ambos días. Tienes tu acceso completo.
Perfecto, gracias.
De nada. También en sus asientos les dejé unos postcards con el QR code de nuestro WhatsApp Community, que ya casi lo vamos a lanzar, entonces si contestan el formulario, pronto los podemos agregar. ¿Por ahí vi a alguien?
Sí, yo.
Sí, Jaime, dime.
Muchas gracias por el espacio. De la conferencia de Dallas, ¿hay forma de tomarla en línea? Y si es eso, ¿qué costo tendría?
La conferencia sí se puede tomar en línea. Como les mencionaba, los beneficios son prácticamente similares. Se conecta gente de todo el mundo. Hay sesiones de networking específicas para conocer a gente de otras partes del mundo. Yo personalmente las he tomado. Es la primera vez que vamos a ir de manera presencial porque siempre es en Helsinki, en Europa y demás. Y cuando lo he tomado en línea es muy padre porque he conocido a gente de Europa, de la India, de Sudamérica y pues bueno, con eso también ha crecido mi propia red de contactos personales, LinkedIn, todo eso, ¿no? Fabuloso. El precio por el boleto en línea, si no me equivoco, es de 350 euros. Aunque es altamente probable que para nuestra comunidad también tengamos por ahí alguna rifa de boletos, a lo mejor hacemos por ahí un giveaway ya más adelante en la fecha, entonces también todo eso se los haremos saber tan pronto lo sepamos.
Perfecto, muy bien, muchas gracias.
Gracias, Jaime.
Yo una duda, ¿el descuento solo aplica para el boleto presencial o también online?
Creo que el descuento que nosotras tenemos de momento lo voy a confirmar y si gustas me das tus datos y te puedo confirmar si aplica para el virtual también.
Perfecto, muchas gracias.
De nada. ¿Alguien más? ¿Alguna otra duda respecto al chapter, a la Global Conference, a la maestría? Aprovéchenos. Este espacio ya es más de conversatorio. Bueno, pues si no hay más, nos despedimos. Vamos nada más rápidamente a verificar si no hay ninguna duda con respecto a YouTube channel. Me parece que no. Ok, bueno, sin más, muchísimas gracias nuevamente a Centro por permitirnos venir a este espacio a realizar este evento. Nos encantó estar acá. Muchas gracias a Brandon Ward por su charla tan increíble que nos estuvo compartiendo. No se olviden de seguirnos en redes sociales, de etiquetarnos tanto a Centro-U como a SDN Chapter MTY en Instagram. Gracias a quienes vinieron de manera presencial a acompañarnos. Estamos a sus órdenes, quedamos al pendiente cualquier duda o comentario. Y también muchas gracias a quienes nos acompañan en este momento en línea, en la transmisión en vivo. Nos vemos en la próxima. Bye.